EVs and IVs. What are they, and why are they so important? Well, in this video, I'll be teaching you what EVs and IVs are, and also the best ways that you can train your Pokemon's EVs and IVs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet now that the final DLC is out. Now that the Indigo Disc DLC is out, there's so many more Mons to be able to train up for either defeating Terror Raids or even achieving the Master Ball rank in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's online VGC matches. New Mons aren't the only thing that Scarlet and Violet's DLCs have given us though. They've also given us easier and more efficient ways of training up our Mons, but we'll get to that in a little bit. As a side note before moving on, this video is primarily about what EVs and IVs are and how to train them. I won't be covering the formulas and all of the deep in stuff that, some people might be interested in. But if you do want to know the intricacies of it and how to actually calculate the numbers and how the multiplication and all that works, I will leave some links in the description down below, so feel free to check those out. For now though, let's get into talking about IVs. If you've played any Pokemon game, then you know that each Pokemon has 6 different stats. The stats available to each Pokemon are HP, Attack, Special Attack, Defense, Special Defense, and Speed. IVs, also known as individual values, are part of your stats, but they're hidden stats. IVs are stats that are given to a Pokemon when it is created, whether that be when you encounter it in the wild or during egg breeding. IVs are essentially their genes, and these genes increase the max amount a particular stat can grow to. So if you have Pokemon's IVs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you will have to complete the full game. At least the main story, not the DLCs. But you have to have completed the Elite Four, beaten them, completed Arven's tasks with the Titans, you have to have beaten Team Star story arc, and also, once you're done with all of that, you will have to beat the Area Zero arc as well. Now, after you complete the game, the credits roll, all the fun stuff happens. You need to go to any Pokemon Center, speak with the nurse there, and she will tell you that you have the ability to judge Pokemon now. Now, what is judging? Well, judging is the way you're going to be checking the IVs on your Pokemon. Now, how do you judge? The way you judge is by going into your boxes, scrolling to a Mon stat page, and pressing the plus button. The way IVs are displayed is not with numbers, rather with statements. But even though there's statements to each of the IVs, they are still numbered, but you can't really see it. The numbers in the background that you can't see are for the game itself to kind of calculate the max potential of a Pokemon's stats. There is a number to it, but you just don't need to see it. It's kind of weird, but I'll list out what each number correlates to statement-wise. So no good equals 0, decent equals 1 to 15, pretty good equals 16 to 25, very good is 26 to 29, fantastic is 30, and best is 31. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you can never reduce a Pokemon's IVs, but you can max them out. How you can max out a Pokemon's IVs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is by flying to Monte Nevera, which is in the Snowy Mountains, and there you will find an NPC next to an Abomasnow. You speak to him, and he will be talking about increasing your Pokemon's IVs. Now, the way you're going to be doing this is by utilizing bottle caps as a currency. Now, you might have found bottle caps strewn around Paldea as you're venturing around, or maybe you purchased them for 20 grand at a Delabird's present shop. Either way, you should have at least a couple bottle caps. Each bottle cap will be able to cap out one of your Pokemon's stats IVs. Now, there are 2 different varieties of bottle caps. There is a regular bottle cap and a gold bottle cap. The gold bottle caps are also spent here at this NPC, but they will max out every single one of your stats IVs. So be sure to save those gold bottle caps. But now that we know a bit about IVs, it's time to learn about EVs, what they are, and how do you train them on your Mons. Just like IVs, EVs help your stats grow to their max potential. But unlike IVs, EVs start at 0, and you can increase or reduce them. To view a Pokemon's EVs, all you gotta do is scroll to the stats page and press the L button. And just like with IVs, EVs do not display a number value. Instead, they show you a graph. And also similar to IVs, EVs do have a number behind their graph value. A Pokemon can have a total of 510 EVs spread amongst all of their stats, but each stat can only have a total of 252. And when a stat is maxed out with EVs, it'll start shining. Now, you might be trying to do some math in your head about how many total stats you can actually max out EVs wise. Well, I'll help you out there. It's a total of 2 stats that you can have maxed out in EVs, and then you'll have 6 EV points left over to put anywhere else you like. This is not to say that you absolutely need to max out 2 stats. You can individualize it whichever way you want. Maybe put some in every stat, whatever way you want to do it. Figure it out, test some things, see what works. So you now know what EVs are and how many EV points you could actually put in all your stats. But you guys are probably curious right about now, how do you train them up? Well, Scarlet and Violet makes this incredibly easy and so much more efficient now that the DLCs are out. The first method that you can go about training a Mons EVs is by battling a wild Pokemon. Every wild Pokemon rewards you with a specific EV stat, or multiple depending on the Mon, when you defeat or capture them in the wild. As you guys can see listed here, these are just a few of the Mons you'll be able to hunt for your specific EV stats you're trying to train up. I'll also include a link to a guide in the description down below that further goes over which Mons you'll be able to hunt to get all of your stats leveled up quickly. In Scarlet and Violet, EVs, just like experience points, transfer to all your Mons in the party. With this in mind, you only want the Mons that you want trained up in that specific stat that you're hunting in your party at that time. The way that you could speed up EV training with this method as well is to buy power items. You can buy these from a Delibird present shop for 10,000 Pokédollars each, and you will need one for every Pokemon that you plan on training up, so I recommend getting 5 or 6 of each power item. What I'm displaying here is a list of all the power items available and what EV stats they will be able to amplify. With Power Anklet for speed, Power Band for special defense, with Power Belt for defense, Power Bracer for attack, Power Lens for special attack, and Power Weight for your HP stat. How the power items work is that whenever a Mon in your party is holding a power item, it will receive 1 EV point, or 3 or however many depending on the Mon, plus an additional 8. However, you need to be farming that specific EV stat that correlates with that power item. So you can't receive 8 attack EVs with a power bracer on while you're farming speed EVs. A good strat that I like to use when farming using this method is to have a high level, fully trained Mon in the front of your party and have the rest of the Mons holding the power item that you need to level up the EV stat that you want. Then all you need to do is go into all the battles you need, either catch or defeat them using your high level Mon, and it'll just be an easy day for you that way. Keep in mind though that you cannot receive an EV stat by auto battle. You have to be in a legitimate battle and either defeat or catch each Mon. The second method EV training your Mons is vitamins. Displayed here is a list of all the vitamins available in Scarlet and Violet, which EV stats they will amplify, where each vitamin will increase an EV stat by 10. We have calcium, which increases special attack, carbos, which increases speed stat, HP up, which obviously increases HP, iron, which increases defense stat, protein, which increases the attack stat, and zinc, which increases the special defense stat. There are a few different ways of getting a hold of vitamins now that the DLCs are out in Scarlet and Violet. The original methods for finding vitamins in Scarlet and Violet were either on the ground as an item, or you could buy them from a Chansey supply store for 10,000 Pokédollars. Now, that is not a very viable option because it costs a lot of money, but that was the only method we really had outside of picking them up at the time. But since the Indigo disc was released, you can now use the new BP currency at the school store to purchase any vitamin for 50 BP. Or better yet, you can utilize the new item printer in the League Club Room to create multiple items using any Pokemon material and a few BP. Third method for EV training, feathers. Feathers can be found on the ground throughout Paldea or even in the new DLC zones. They can be found in the Porto Marinata auctions, or they can even be rewards from Terra Raids. Displayed here is a list of all feathers available in Scarlet and Violet, which EV stats they will train up, where each feather will increase your EV stat by 1 point. The feathers are Clever Feather, which increases your special defense, Genius Feather, special attack, Health Feather, HP, Muscle Feather, attack, Resist Feather, defense, and Swift Feather for speed. Now the fourth and final method for EV training your Mons is with Mochis. Mochis were introduced in the Teal Mask DLC and are obtained through the Ogre House minigame located in Kitakami. Listed here are all the Mochis available in Scarlet and Violet, and which EVs they will train up, where each Mochi will increase your EV stat by 10 points. The Mochis available to you are the Health Mochi for HP, Muscle Mochi for attack, Resist Mochi for defense, Genius Mochi for special attack, Clever Mochi for special defense, and the Swift Mochi for speed stat. Now, those are all the ways of increasing your Pokemon's EV stats, but you guys are probably wondering, didn't you say something about reducing Pokemon's EV stats? You are correct, and there are 2 ways of reducing a Pokemon's EV stats. The first method of reducing Pokemon's EV stats is the original method, which was introduced in the base game of Scarlet and Violet, eating berries. There are a lot of different berries that you can find on the ground throughout Paldea and the DLC zones, or even at the Porto Marinata auctions, but there are 6 specific berries that are used for reducing a Pokemon's EV stats. These 6 berries are the Pomeg Berry, Kelpsie Berry, the Hondu Berry, the Qualop Berry, the Greppa Berry, and the Tomato Berry. Each of these berries are going to reduce your EV stats by 10 points. The second method, which was introduced in Teal Mask and also previously talked about for increasing your stats, Mochis. Unlike the Mochis that increase your EV stats, there is one Mochi that will be able to reduce every one of your stats EVs with one Mochi. This Mochi is called the Fresh Start Mochi, and with it, it will reduce your Pokemon's EV stats to 0. And just like we talked about earlier when we were talking about increasing your EV stats, this Mochi will be acquired through Ogre Oustin and Kitakami. I really hope this guide has helped you guys understand EVs and IVs better, as well as learn the different ways of training them up, especially now that the DLCs are out. And if you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button, leave your comments in the comment section down below, subscribe if you're not yet, and ring the bell so you guys will be notified of my new content like this coming here soon. Those are my live streams here. I also stream on Twitch, located in the description down below. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.